Ready for clarity on your relationship and a path to freedom? Learn more about my validation sessions at coachingwithdrheidi.com. This is Fak'n Tired, where your past becomes your peace. If you're exhausted trying to hide things from your past like shame and fear, if you're always faking your way through the day behind dozens of masks, you're in the right place. That, no, I'll be fine mentality is not just tiring, it's debilitating. I'm your host, Dr. Heidi, from the podcast It's Not Normal, It's Toxic. Both podcasts are released twice a month. Here on Fak'n Tired, we stop pretending, but also we laugh at ourselves when it doesn't work. This is for you who is running on frantic protect yourself mode, even when things around you are completely safe. We dive into the internal wreckage that's left over from emotional manipulation. So if you feel misunderstood by others, if your healthy relationships are suffering, or if you're running on autopilot, this is your home. I am only a few strides ahead of you, but we can learn how to feel for real and stop being so fake and tired. Now let's get to fake and work. Welcome back. Now, before we jump into the reason for the podcast, which is the specifics of the residual effects of emotional abuse and discussing some of the things that we don't understand about ourselves, I need to talk about the name of this podcast and why I chose the title Fak'n Tired. I'll be honest, when I named the series, I knew exactly what Fak'n Tired meant to me. And if I would have thought it was appropriate to title it with the actual F word I was thinking and feeling, it would have contained a U and not an A. But that said, I also had a bit of concern that someone hearing the title without my perspective on it may perhaps cause a little bit of defensiveness. It might be heard as an accusation. What, are you calling me fake? Or you think I'm not being authentic? Are you blaming me for how I am and the personal struggles I've faced, and now I'm not good enough? All of those type of things. In fact, all of those type of things already ran through my head on a different specific issue this morning, because that's how our brain automatically thinks. Let me be absolutely clear, though. If you've been through emotional abuse or a long-standing toxic relationship, the faking I'm referring to is not a character flaw. It is the highest level of innate intelligence and a superhuman emotional strategy that your nervous system offered you. And it most likely saved your life, or at least your mental state to a degree. This podcast is about renaming that faking for what it truly is. What is innate intelligence that I just referred to? Well, innate intelligence was the foundation of my 30-year former career. Chiropractors believe in innate intelligence and the ability for the body to heal itself. Innate intelligence, by definition, is the inborn internal wisdom that gives a living organism physiological processes, ensures its adaptation, health, and continued life. Innate intelligence is not about learned or reasoning. It's not educated knowledge or educated intelligence. Instead, it is inborn knowledge. It is the fundamental intelligence a living thing possesses from the moment of conception. This internal force is self-healing and self-regulating. It oversees all of the automatic functions in the body, like the beating of your heart, breathing, digestion, metabolism, kicking off the immune system to fight an infection, or healing a cut. Innate intelligence operates as the internal communication network, primarily through the nervous system, to maintain homeostasis in your body. What is homeostasis? Well, homeostasis is present when the internal environment is stable and is running at its optimum level. So true health is your body being in a state of homeostasis. Innate intelligence goal is to keep the body as close to homeostasis as it can. Now stick with me. How is this connected to you, and why am I going into all this body health crap? No, this is not going to turn into a nutrition lecture, I promise. But how is innate intelligence, or the body's ability to heal itself and keep itself safe, connected to you? Innate intelligence is essential for surviving, or what you may call survival mode, because it controls the body's non-conscious automatic responses to threat, danger, or environmental changes. When the body perceives a threat, which could be stress, it could be danger, it could be an injury, the innate intelligence within us coordinates the immediate, necessary physiological changes in order for you to survive. This is the on switch for the well-known fight, flight, freeze, or fawn responses, which are all key aspects of safety and survival. In a true unsafe or survival scenario, your body rapidly shifts away from less important functions like hair growth, digestion, any type of logical reasoning, and it shifts towards the immediate emergency needs, like increasing the heart rate for more oxygen, or blood flow to major muscles for movement, and heightened alertness to surroundings and danger. The purpose of innate intelligence is to adapt or change you and your behaviors to better fit your environment for the best possible chance of mental and physical safety. In a toxic environment or a toxic relationship, your job is not to be happy or healthy or have all your needs met. Your job is or was stability. You had to keep the toxic person from exploding. You became an award-winning adapter. And how did you start to do that? You developed and gathered a large collection of masks, the survival mask being one of them. When worn, the survival mask is perfectly agreeable. It's always calm. It's always capable. It doesn't need very much. It can do without. It can cancel. It can compromise. We wear this mask to manage a toxic person's feelings. It's sophisticated. It changes minute by minute. And wearing that mask is based on 3 basically key rules. 1, never show need. Why? Because your need is a toxic person's inconvenience. An example of that would be you're sick with a 102-degree fever, but you drag yourself out of bed, make their coffee and their lunch because asking them for help or not getting up and not doing your job would be met with an eye roll or criticism of how you don't contribute and how you make their life so much harder. So you drag yourself out of bed and you make their coffee and their lunch, even though your need was to stay in bed and rest. Rule number 2, you never show pain. Why? Because your pain requires their effort. An example of that would be, let's say you get devastating news at work. What happens to you on the way home? You shift into an energetic, positive, happy person that's actively laughing and asking about their day. Because you know if you cried or you spoke about the pain, you'd be ignored, you'd be belittled, or you would have to hear how you don't have it near as bad as they do. And rule number 3, always strive for peace. Why? Because your calm exterior seems to keep them somewhat calm, or at least it has in the past. Them being calm was the only way you feel safe. An example, they are yelling, they might be throwing things, stomping around, and acting completely off the rails over something that really is not that big a deal at all. What do? You lower your voice, you slow your movements, you speak softly, you look at the ground in an attempt to bring them down a notch, even though every cell in your body is screaming with terror. Their peace is perceived as your safety. Now, you weren't planning to do this. You were not being dishonest, you were not being strategic, you were not being manipulative, you were not being a doormat, and you were not being a people pleaser when you adapted into these behaviors. You were faking agreement, you were faking happiness, you were faking peace because the truth did not feel safe. Innate intelligence took over to suppress your true feelings, your true needs, and your true self in order to fake a state of peace and compliance, in order to guarantee survival and safety. Now, the problem isn't that you learned how to wear the survival mask. It was needed and was totally appropriate for your situation if your situation was emotionally abusive or unhealthy for you. The problem is that because you had to wear it so often and so long, it became stuck in the on position. When you leave a toxic situation, your environment changes and you and everybody assumes, oh, good, that's over with. Everything's back to normal. But your brain's emergency override switch, which is the button that allows you to access the masks when you need them, stays on alert much of the time. Your brain thinks that strategy worked best in the past, so we're keeping that available just in case. You find yourself never showing need, never showing pain, and always striving for peace with your kind boss or your supportive, healthy partner or even the barista at the coffee shop. You continue to wear the mask in places where it's perfectly safe to take it off. You've become so accustomed to wearing it, you don't even know you still have it on. The other tricky thing about the mask is we like to think we're in conscious control of taking it off. That's where innate intelligence took over in the first place. We should have had conscious control before survival mode had to take over and change our behaviors to keep us safe. So when you think I'm just going to take the mask off, it's easier said than done. This is why we're faking tired. It's not the abuse itself that is still draining you. It's the constant high-level unnecessary effort by your body to continue wearing this mask or staying in survival mode in a world that no longer requires it. Do you feel like you're constantly on, or like you have no idea what your real personality is? Like you're under a microscope all the time? Well, just know this. You are the person that you had to become to stay safe in a situation that was not safe. With your continual existence in that situation, the survival mode became the default. You were in a better place of safety if you became what they needed you to become so they got their needs met. It felt calmer. So we're not really fake. We're just wearing the mask that is now expired. We don't need it anymore. But I am the number one person to say, I didn't know I was still wearing it. The goal of Fak'n Tired is simple because I did not realize how much I had actually been affected by my former unhealthy relationship. I carried the survival mask for many years. I hit what I call my personal little rock bottom when my safe places and my healthy relationships no longer felt safe, when I could not describe or accept who I was because I didn't truly know. The goal of Fak'n Tired is like all the work I've done in this area. It is to educate you so that you don't have to hit rock bottom quite as hard as I did. We're going to be laying it all out here. We're going to be talking about the things that we've tried to cover up, that people don't understand, the things that are holding this mask in place, and what holding this mask in place causes. The always feeling the need to say yes, the difficulty we experience when we try to make decisions, what we hear as opposed to what others say, the wrong or exaggerated emotions, the guilt, and all of the other stuff. By giving your reactions and behaviors names and understanding where they came from, you start to accept them as part of you. And you can give yourself permission to stop hiding from them or trying to hide them from others. Now, I am here to tell you that there are things that I did not hide that definitely should have been hidden. And now I'm doing much better at that also. You're not broken. There is nothing wrong with you. There are people that understand. This is something that happened to you, and it was appropriate when it did. You are definitely not alone if you're Fak'n Tired. We are going to start the next episode by talking about my changes in perspective from before I understood survival mode and the effects my relationship had had on me to after. And these changes came with the acceptance of my past and the things I didn't love about myself and my journey forward from that. I hope you join us, and I hope you know I'm here for you. Talk a lot here about the aftermath of toxic relationships, but maybe you're not even sure if your past or current relationship was toxic, or maybe you think you might have been the problem. That confusion is exhausting. To skip that exhaustion and get straight to clarity, I offer you the You've Got to Be Kidding Me validation session. This is an intense 3-hour educational session dedicated to your personal situation. We'll help you see the relationship through the eyes of the other person, giving you the foundation of understanding, decision-making power, and the clarity needed to make the very best choices for you. I know you won't leave or make changes until you are ready, but with this session, when you're ready, you'll also be prepared. Get the clarity you deserve with the You've Got to Be Kidding Me validation session at coachingwithdrheidi.com.